Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. I think that a lot of parents have this mistaken notion that teaching their children requires some sort of formal training because teaching kids must be some sort of elaborate formula, right? Well, to be honest, no, that's not the case at all. Unfortunately, so many people nowadays have a lack of confidence, not just in their parenting ability or in their patience when it comes to being with their children, but a lot of people honestly believe that they just aren't smart enough to homeschool their kids. And I'm going to tell you why that's not true today. I cannot count how many times I have heard someone say to me, I would love to homeschool, but I'm not smart enough to homeschool my kids. This is something that is far more common than I think a lot of people believe. And I want you to ask yourself, if you are one of those parents who truly believes that you are not smart enough to homeschool your children, why? First of all, I want you to think back to where you went to school, how you were taught, what sort of methods were used for you. It's very likely that a lot of you, at least, were brought up in the traditional school system, most likely the public school system. And I want you to honestly think about one thing. If the school system you feel did not academically prepare you for teaching your children, I'm talking, elementary children here. Parents are even equipped to teach their high school age children, but there are a lot of people who don't even feel confident in teaching their little kids. I saw someone on Twitter today who said that she took an hour to do one worksheet with her 5-year-old. And guys, that shouldn't be the case. So I want you to think to yourself, where were you educated? If you went to a public school or some sort of traditional school setting and you as an adult now feel a lack of confidence in your intelligence, if you feel that you are not academically prepared enough to teach, just a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or maybe even a 10-year-old, why would you send your kids to the same institution that so inadequately prepared you, that did such a poor job? And that's one thing that I'm thinking about, is that those parents who feel that they're not smart enough to homeschool your kids, you are the ones that should be thinking about homeschooling the most. Because if the system failed you, why would you want to send your children back into that same system? The thing is that you don't have to be a genius to homeschool your kids. You didn't have to graduate with a 4.0 or as a valedictorian. None of those things are required when it comes to having the ability to homeschool your kids. Now, and another thing that I really need to point out is, let's not forget that if you think that the schools didn't do a good job preparing you, what about now? I think that a lot of us are aware that the schools have gotten far, far worse than when we were in school. And I'm not just talking about morally speaking, I'm talking academically. I mean, come on, we've got Common Core going on. And anyone who has looked into Common Core knows that it is not working. It has been publicized that it's not working. There are articles all over the place admitting that Common Core is failing. And honestly, Common Core is all about teaching confusion. So if you went to schools back when they were better than they are now, and you're still not prepared, what about your kids? If you're going to send them to a place that is even worse off than when you were there. And you know what? I just want to encourage you that you can do this, and I'm going to share with you some ways that you can homeschool your child despite your feeling of inadequacy, despite the fact that you feel like you're not smart enough simply because you didn't fit the school way. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. Schools teach to one learning style. That is what they're suited for. But there are a lot of learning styles. And unfortunately, they don't tailor curriculum. They don't tailor activities to meet each individual child. You as a homeschooling parent can do that though. If you have a child who takes after you and learns the same way as you, the chances are they would not do very well in school either. Let your child have the advantages. Let your child have the opportunities that you did not have. And you know what? Let me just tell you that one of the best things about homeschooling is learning alongside your child. Now, I was one of those kids that I did fit school and I did well in school, but I can also tell you that I have learned far more homeschooling my children in these last 11 years than I ever did when I was in school. There's something different about not only taking over the role as teacher, but also doing things in a way that are both interesting for your children and are also interesting for you. So that is one takeaway. You can learn alongside your child. Another way, if you feel like you just don't have the knowledge to do certain subjects with your kids, there are so many tutorials online. Whether you pay for them, whether you look them up for free, they are everywhere. Have your kids watch tutorials for things. Watch them along with your kids. Again, that's that learning alongside your child. And you know what? Besides that, there are online classes that your kids can take. Sometimes you can even hire a tutor for your kids. I know that our old library, now we moved from a big city to a small city, so I don't know if our small library does it now, but our big library in the city, they had a tutor who would come in and would tutor people for math for free. So look into that. See if there are any tutors around. Some other ideas are to swap out classes with other homeschooling families that you know. What if you are really good at art, but you can't even think about teaching math to your kids? What if you would team up with another homeschooling family and you would teach art and maybe the other homeschooling parent would teach math to the kids? Or, maybe it's dance. Maybe you like to dance. You could teach them dance, and maybe you could have the other homeschooling family teach science. You could get a couple homeschooling families together and do it like that. Or you can go even bigger than that and do a co-op. Co-ops are really, really good for people who don't feel that they have the confidence to teach their own kids at home. And you know what? It's a great way to get started on homeschooling your kids. Later on down the line, you might feel like you don't need that group of kids or the group of teachers, of families to help you along. You might, start to gain the confidence that you can do things on your own. But it's a great way to start. And you're also going to be exposed to a lot of other families who have been doing this for years and would be great mentors for you. When your kids are older, like high school age, you can always think about dual enrollment in colleges. So many homeschool kids do that. And there are even enrichment classes that your kids can take. I know that there used to be, in our old city, one of the museums that we had offered history classes. I think it was about the American Revolution for homeschool students. I also lived near a science center, and they also held seasonal science classes for homeschooled students. Look around, see what is offered to you. But what I want to tell you again is that there is no such thing as I'm not smart enough to homeschool my kids. You don't need to be a genius to homeschool your kids. You don't need to be a prodigy. All it takes is a little bit of resourcefulness and a lot of love. I promise you, you can do this. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram because YouTube disabled my comments. Actually, right now, the comments are back on, so who knows? And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. Today, I want to give a shout out to my Patreon patron, Michelle. Michelle, thank you so much for becoming a patron. I'm so happy that my videos have been helpful for you, and I encourage all of you to just go back, if you're new to homeschooling especially, go back and watch the different videos that I have. Look through the playlist that I have and see what it is that I can offer for you. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Have a great day.